Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. There are people out there in this market that are still bearish. After all of what we're seeing with the cryptocurrency markets exploding and creating a lot of investors a lot of money in the process, many people are still on the fence expecting more downside. Today's video, I'm going to share with you guys all of my thoughts and perspectives on why the altcoins are insanely bullish and why people that are bearish right now are truly missing out on one of the biggest altcoin explosions, if not the biggest altcoin explosion we have ever seen before. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos like the one provided for you here. And always remember, guys, to join the fastest growing and the very best Discord community out there in crypto. My server has over 17,000 members and growing so fast, so if you want to congregate with the rest of my community, share your thoughts, feelings, and perspectives on the market, make sure you guys sign up and join today by clicking inside the description of this video, and there you're going to find the invitation link to my Discord server. Now, on the Discord server, I also offer my exclusive VIP products like my video course and signals, so if you guys ever want to sign up and get access to my entire long-term portfolio, follow each and every trade that I take, as well as get access to private VIP videos that I only make for members of my Discord, then make sure you stay all the way to the end of this video, because then I'm going to take a couple minutes to explain how you guys can get signed up, the pros of doing so, and what it's going to take to get you guys going today. Alrighty guys, one final thought before we jump into the video is to make sure to download my free ebook. If you're a new guy getting in these markets and you need a free study guide to go off of, understand a little bit more trading and investing in the cryptocurrency markets, you guys can go ahead and download this free ebook. Links are provided for you in the description. It's an amazing study guide that's going to help get you guys on the right path of profiting today. So once again, it's linked in the description and free to download. And with all that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so to start off this video, we're going to be first taking a look at Bitcoin. I just want to talk to you guys about some patterns that I'm noticing right now, some things, perspectives, and what really I think is going to happen with Bitcoin moving forward. Then we're going to wrap it up and dive into the altcoin analysis, and this is going to be about an average analysis for every altcoin out there. It doesn't matter whether it's a low cap, mid cap, or high cap. This is all going to be for altcoin holders, so just be tuned. So just stay tuned for that. Now guys, what I want to talk to you guys about Bitcoin here is the fact that we are getting a little bit more sell-side pressure as we are venturing up towards these all-time high marks. Now, I want to talk to you guys about really what I'm expecting. Do I think that this is going to be the top before we make a much bigger correction back down to maybe 14,000? Or do I still think that we're going to get one more leg higher? And so we're going to dive into the shorter time frames. We're going to go take a look at kind of what I'm seeing. Now, as it stands right now for Bitcoin, I am going to continue to be bullish. It pretty much followed exactly to my plan. I said, guys, to target down here at 16,000 or 17,600. So technically, we barely didn't get filled, but it was right there on that support level. It was still right there on that same support level. So we pretty much nailed the bottom as where I said would be the best place to re-enter inside of this market. And we're just a little ways above that. Now, as it stands right now for me, what I was looking at this as was a little I was looking at this as a little bit of a short-term A, B, C correction before ultimately we continue to go up much higher. This would have been just a one wave. Then we get another 3, and then we get another 5, right? And we would have rallied upwards of about 20K, or rallied upwards of about 25K, I should say. Now, that's kind of what I was watching for. This was kind of my primary count when I looked at this. To me, it just didn't look like it was quite done. I saw this as just a short-term corrective move before we go higher. Now, if this support fails here at 17,600, then obviously I'm going to be bearish for a bigger correction, because what we have been doing was we kind of topped right here first. And then after we topped there, then we kind of started getting these descending resistance, these lower highs, lower lows. And so as it stands right now, this could be a topping formation, but the way it stands when I look at this chart, I just simply think that it's a little bit more bullish in this time. If support fails, then I am going to think that this is the short-term top, but we have had a nice little bounce here on support, so we got to see what happens. You know, if we get rejected again and then we start falling below this level, at 17,600, then I'm going to be a lot more bearish. But until then, I'm going to continue to hold the trend. I think that that's the smartest thing to do. Now, this is actually what takes me to the next part of this analysis. I wanted to share with you guys a little pattern that I noticed. Now, if we actually throw it back, let's go to a shorter time frame. Now let's go back here to actually show you guys the pattern that I'm noticing. Now, this was when Bitcoin first started leaving the accumulation, right? We had this 6K support floor. We sold through that, went to 3,200, and then we consolidated here and rounded out for about 3 months before breaking out and going into that massive move to 14K. Now, it was in this time where this was the accumulation range at $3,200. We broke out of here, and then it was in this move right here. We broke out. Everybody thought that 6K resistance was going to act as a major resistance. It did not, and we just broke above it pretty easily, right? And it was at this point that we made this type of consolidation pattern where we rallied up, we had this sharp 20% pullback, and then we immediately got bought up right here, and then we kind of went for one more higher high, and then that was stuffed. We fell back onto support, and it kind of made this little head and shoulder looking formation before we ultimately went for one more final blow off top, right? And that was the last move that we saw. Now, what I'm noticing right now today is the fact that we actually look very similar to what we saw back then. And I think that we could be following somewhat of a similar consolidation here. Now, what I noticed is if we take this, and we count this as the little pullback here. So this was the 20% pullback that we saw when Bitcoin went up to 8K. Pulled back, went for one more higher high, pulled back again onto support, and then went for its final blow off top. And it looks a lot like what we're seeing today, in my opinion, where we get the same little pullback here, sell off, we get the buyback that comes back up, we kind of consolidate here at this range. And now kind of what it looks like we might do is we might get one more attempt at a breakout that might get stuffed, and we might end up falling off for one more support retest before then getting our blow off top. And so this is actually something I'm watching out for. It already follows along with what I was expecting. I was expecting one more consolidation before we get one more blow off top. Now, is this consolidation going to be something like this? It really could. And I just wanted to share with you guys prior cycles and how they've looked in times past, because we could easily see something like this. Obviously, we're really parabolic, so we could see an extended correction to 14K. That would be just as healthy to see as us breaking straight out. But this is just the way it's looking to me, guys. I think that this is what we might see. Now, guys, let's actually dive into the altcoin analysis today, because I have a bunch of updates that I wanted to share with you, because we have some really bullish things playing out that you don't want to miss out on as a long-term investor. Alrighty, guys, here we are taking a look at the altcoin analysis that I had for you guys today. Now, this is going to explain why I am so bullish on altcoins and why everybody out there that's trying to preach some bearish narrative is honestly just lost, confused, and are going to miss out on an amazing opportunity. I've been trying to warn everybody since all the way back down in here. I've been warning everybody for a long period of time. I've been making my channel since mid-2018, since all the way back down over here. It was actually July 3rd, so it was exactly right here when I made my channel. And I've been literally dollar cost averaging throughout this entire period of time. And so it's really cool now that we're at these support levels, now that we've made higher highs, because this is just confirmation of what I already knew was going to happen. And so people are still bearish out there, even though we've had multiple support and resistance flips as resistance has become support 2 or 3 different times now. And we've seen a monumental rally inside of Bitcoin, and there's still people out there bearish. And so what I wanted to do right now was just take a couple minutes to explain why the markets are not bearish, why we've had many market cycles that look identical to what we're seeing today that have played out massive bull runs. People would have made millions of dollars had you have just known some basic terminology, some basic strategies, and some basic technical analysis, which I'm going to share with you guys today. Now, what I wanted to share with you guys today is the fact that the current consolidation looks identical to what we saw with the last cycle, and then we're also going to see what we could potentially then we're going to look at what could potentially play out here inside of what happened with Bitcoin when it did a similar market cycle, as well as what happened in the last market cycle for the altcoins. And so I'm going to take the previous cycle and I'm going to overlay it right here. Alrighty, guys, so here we are. When we actually take the exact bottom from the last cycle, so this bottom here, when we actually take this bottom and we overlay it with what we're seeing today, this is going to perfectly map out why we are in fact not bearish at all. It shows perfectly that we're seeing the exact same consolidation here. This is the thing I just simply cannot understand with people that are bearish, is they're ignoring very obvious looking charts, very obvious market cycle setups. They're just simply ignoring them, and it's mostly because of their own ignorance. They probably just don't understand market cycles like I do, because this is something I've studied quite drastically since I've been in crypto. But overall, it seems so obvious to me. And I mean, obviously, when I do this all the time, I'm looking at the charts every single day. It's going to be a lot more obvious in my situation. However, I just simply don't understand how I can come on these charts and I can label them for you. I can map out what I'm seeing, and then you guys still don't understand. At the end of the day, I know a lot of people are with me on this channel and support me, diehard supporters, and it really means a lot. And you guys are going to be the ones that are getting rich. And I know there's a lot of people out there that can see the same similarities that I see. But there's in fact still plenty of people out there that are still spreading FUD, still just in this lack of awareness of what's going on. And that's why I wanted to make this video, is just to share with you guys how identical this cycle actually is to the last cycle, and how far we still have to go before we are really anywhere to the point where we want to be selling and taking profits. Now, when we take the last cycle, you guys are going to see that we have pretty much followed this exact same consolidation up to this point. And if I come over here and label it for you guys, you're going to start to understand what I mean. Now, this is kind of what I call just the chop phase, and this is coming right after the top of the market cycle. We kind of rally up here, then we start to crash, and then we get to this final little sell-off point. This is really just the final point before we get our capitulation low, and it looks pretty much identical to what we're seeing today inside of this cycle in the total market cap of the altcoins. And so I'm going to go through and label this stuff for you. It's about the same thing that we saw right here, right? So if we looked at the last cycle in the altcoins, we topped out, and then we made the same pattern where we sold off, we get to this last point, and then we get our final sell-off to capitulation. It's literally the exact same thing. It kind of looks like this little inverse head, shoulder, and then we fall to new lows, except this setup fails. It looks pretty much the same as what we saw here. Now, this is what takes us to our accumulation, right? This is the lowest point. This is actually capitulation, I should say. It's the lowest point of the cycle, right? And then we even get the exact same type of setup here, where we make capitulation, we bounce, make a higher high, and then we go up to this first dead cat bounce. The exact same thing happened here back in 2019 at the very beginning of the new year. And then what happens? We get our first higher high, and then we make this big dead cat bounce all the way back up to some of these prior resistance levels, right? We get rejected. Same thing happens here. This was the dead cat bounce for the altcoins. This is where Bitcoin went to 14K. Big crazy time, right? And now this is what ultimately started our second attempt at falling onto support. And we can see that it looks almost the same, guys. The consolidation is literally the same here. We just get this wedging formation, this tight consolidation before we fall onto support. And then we get another attempt at breaking out here. Another dead cat bounce. And then we fall one more time. So before we get ahead of ourselves, let's take a look here. The same thing happens here. We get the exact same type of consolidation, right? This coiling all the way back down to retest support. Then we get another attempt at breaking out. This is our dead cat bounce number 2. Happens right here. Same thing happens here. And then we get our final sell-off back down to support. Guys, it's literally the exact same thing that we saw with COVID. Obviously, it looks a little bit different because COVID was a lot more volatile than what we saw in the last cycle. Really, there wasn't any major sell pressure, just besides the fact that we were still consolidating within this range. Whereas with COVID, that was kind of a black swan event. You can't really predict that because it was brought on to us in an unforeseen event. And so because of that, we saw such a sharper decline in price. But the same goes true, guys. The same story. This is literally the exact same consolidation, the exact same chart. If you can't see this, you are literally just blind. And that kind of sounds rude for me to say, but it's just the truth, guys. I mean, I don't come on here as some genius with some entire background investing knowledge. I don't have a ton of prior knowledge at all, guys. I'm a high school dropout. I don't go to college at all. I didn't even graduate high school. I really just studied courses. I paid money, and I took a lot of losses in the process to figure out how to trade these markets. But what I can say to you guys is I remember watching the last cycle as somebody that had to jump in as the markets were already going parabolic. I remember watching the last cycle and going back to the old original market cycles when they were just at their lowest points, when nothing was doing anything, when XMR was just worth a few dollars, when Ethereum was worth a few dollars. I would go back and look at these points and times in the market cycles, and I would sit there and I would say to myself, man, if I ever get the opportunity to buy market cycles that look like this again, I will go all in with all of my money. And now fast forward to what we're seeing today, we literally have the exact same market cycles. And I knew this from all the way back down in these levels here, because I've been dollar cost averaging. I knew that this is what was happening. And now that we've kind of had a few more months of consolidation, as Bitcoin and as all these other cryptocurrencies have started to break out and make higher highs, it's perfectly confirmed everything of what I already knew was going to happen. And now we're sitting here face to face with market cycles where there is undeniable evidence and proof that this is exactly what's happening again. Not only did we get an amazing opportunity back in 2015, 16, and 17 to make all of this massive profit, but we're getting the exact exact same opportunity again. Literally, guys, I swear to God, God is opening the clouds right now, and he is screaming to you. He is screaming, "Come, my children, buy all altcoins today." You have to do it. I'm telling you, this is going to change your life as it's done for me. I cannot explain to you how many times I've had to sit out because I just didn't understand enough about a trade to take it, how I missed out on so many opportunities because I sold too early because I didn't know what I was doing. I made all these different mistakes in the last cycle. I am not making the same mistakes twice, and this is exactly what I'm trying to help you guys make, the same decisions that I missed out on. I could have been so rich in the last cycle, never would have had the YouTube channel, never would have done any of this because I'd be retired on an island at this point. I am trying to give you guys the same opportunity because I've already made it for myself. You know, the way that the altcoins have already worked out the last few, just specifically the last year since March, I've already made it for myself, but I want you guys to do the same thing here, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Now, I'm going to go ahead and delete this. If you guys want to go ahead and screenshot this, you can, but I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Now, I wanted to dive into something else real quick before we wrap up the video today. I wanted to actually compare to you guys the prior cycles and how it's actually looked once we started breaking out. Because we obviously know that the last chart I just showed you points to the cycle is very obviously an accumulation, right? When we took the last accumulation cycle from back down in here, when we took this accumulation cycle and we overlaid it on top of what we're seeing today currently, we could very obviously tell that it's the same, right? Now, let's actually take what happened prior to the breakout and let's see what can potentially happen over the next couple months to year to follow. So the first one I want to take a look at today is going to be the actual consolidation that we saw out of the altcoins after they broke out of the awareness phase. And so here we have the accumulation down here, and then this is where we broke out and went into the awareness phase, right? This is where we broke out of all-time highs, retested all-time highs of support, and then went into that massive parabolic rally. Now, if we take that chart and we overlay it with what we're seeing today, this is what I wanted to point out to you guys. Now, there's going to be a couple different scenarios that I foresee playing out inside of the altcoins. Scenario one is we get something along the lines of this. Now, it doesn't have to quite go as parabolic. We could see something along the lines of this, where we kind of rally up next to hit this resistance up here. Now, this is going to be coming at about $320 billion in market cap for these altcoins, and I honestly think that we might see something like that, where we see this quick blow off top here. We hit this resistance at about 230 bill, and then, or 320 bill, I should say, and then we sell off to retest this, right? And then this is what takes us to our final move to the all-time highs, where we might get an extended correction back down, and then that's going to be what takes us into price discovery. I really do think we could see something along the lines of this play out, where we saw in the last cycle it happened very similarly, where we made this final, once we went through the accumulation phase, we went through this final blow off top to take us to the all-time highs before we kind of consolidated for a little while, and then we went super parabolic in that new trend. This is something that I'm watching for. I don't know if it's going to happen exactly like this, but the thing to understand here is we're following the last cycle identical enough that there's no reason to write off the potential of this happening again. Now, obviously, the market cycle itself can look a little different. All cycles do look different, but this is ultimately what I would be expecting to see, because this is what we saw with Bitcoin, more or less. I mean, with Bitcoin, it kind of just went straight to the all-time highs pretty quickly, but it was consolidating sideways for a long period of time, right? We consolidated sideways, and then seemingly out of nowhere, we just kind of exploded to that all-time high mark. And so once we go through this accumulation phase, all-time highs are really not that far away, and I think that that's the thing that people need to understand. This was 700 days worth of consolidation in this range. Bitcoin in the last cycle only consolidated in this range at this low point for about 280 days, and so it was nothing compared to what we're seeing today. I honestly think that that's going to create a massive impulse, a massive market cycle that's going to really provide a lot less pullbacks just because of how long we consolidated and accumulated down here. So this is one scenario I'm watching. Another scenario that I'm watching for is actually that we're going to follow simply how Bitcoin did in the last cycle, which we already are. I think that we might be actually experiencing a hybrid consolidation that is very similar to what we saw in Bitcoin's last cycle. However, there is some differences here. Now, what we can see inside of Bitcoin was that once we broke out, we kind of consolidated in this triangle, and then we started making higher highs, higher lows. We kind of grinded on this new trend line before going to all-time high marks. And this is actually something that I am personally watching for. I honestly think that the altcoins are going to behave very similar to what we saw right here, where we kind of build this this trend line, and we can see that we've already built this trend line. If we draw it, we can see that we're already grinding up above this trend line. It's very similar to what we saw in the last Bitcoin cycle, and I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see this play out again, where we make one more higher high. This is our attempt at our second resistance here. We make another attempt to break out of that resistance. We get stuffed. We sell off for one more retest of that trend line, and then that's ultimately the final move before we do go to all-time highs. And this is really what I'm expecting to see. It's what happened inside of Bitcoin. Bitcoin just recently made that move where we went straight to all-time highs after we consolidated. This is the same thing that I'm expecting to play out again. Now, this is pretty much the same chart, whether we compare the last cycle from the altcoins that just went straight to all-time highs, or whether we look at the Bitcoin cycle. Both scenarios point the same direction, and this is why I wanted to give you guys this update. I just wanted to explain why there's so much more reason to be bullish right now, why there's literally no reason to be bearish by any means. The amount of money that they're printing in the United States, the amount that the dollar is collapsing right now because of the money printing that they've done, this is good for deflationary assets. This is so good for cryptocurrencies, guys. We are sitting at the precipice of the biggest bull run in cryptocurrency history, which is technically going to be the biggest bull run ever because of how much profit potential can be made inside of these market cycles. This is why I've gone all in with all of my money. Literally everything that I possibly can invest, minus what I need to take out for expenses like living. I am literally all in with all of my money. I could not be more bullish inside of these markets. And the reason for this is because I saw people make millions and millions of dollars in the last cycle. I saw people close to me take hundreds of dollars and turn that into enough to buy a house. It does not take anybody special. It does not take a ton of prior investment knowledge. It doesn't require a ton of money even. This is the first market where we have an opportunity of making a financial fortune of ourselves with practically minimal effort. I'm telling you guys as somebody that missed out on a lot of opportunity in the last cycle that this is where you don't want to be making the same mistakes because we have no idea how many bull runs we're even going to get. We don't know if the bull runs are even going to be nearly as profitable in the next cycle. I personally don't think that they will be, which is why I'm trying to go with all in with everything that I have because I know that this is an amazing opportunity. As a high school dropout, as somebody who was told I would never have a lot of chance, I'm making the chance for myself, and I know for a fact that with how crappy the world is today and how just lack of jobs and lack of different sorts of resources, ultimately this is where you could capitalize on emerging markets, places that have been suppressed for a long time. This is where we are at the precipice of doing all of this. This is an emerging technology. This is revolutionizing the entire world's economy from a financial perspective, from a technological perspective, from a fundamental perspective, in every way you could possibly imagine. And you don't want to miss out on this, guys. Now, as we wrap up this video, I want to take a couple minutes to explain how you guys can sign up for the video course and signals for the people that want to. Because if you guys like what I do on this channel, you want to support what I do, and most importantly, you want to make sure that you're making the most profit for yourself, you guys should really check out my VIP packages, being the video course and the signals. Now, first things first, if you guys want to join my group and you want to know which one to go after, I always recommend going with the signals first, because the signals are going to be the thing that allows you to copy my entire long-term portfolio, where over 80% of my money is. I put 80% of my money in long-term holding between 5 coins. You're going to know exactly what 5 coins those are. And on top of that, you're also going to know where I go and take trades on all of the other cryptocurrencies out there. Not only do I give you guys access to my long-term portfolio, I give you access to literally every single trade that I take. These are trades that are coming in from newsletters that I pay money for. These are trades that I'm finding on the internet. These are trades that are coming from me from people that I know personally inside the cryptocurrency markets. You guys are literally getting in at the ground floor on all of the best signals. On top of that, I even offer private VIP videos that I only make for members inside of my Discord. So you guys are literally getting all of the extras. And on top of that, and with all that being said, it's also a lifetime membership, so you guys are always going to have access to it as long as I'm doing this channel. Even if I move on from crypto and start doing something more like stock trading and cannabis stocks, looking at precious metal markets, things like that, you guys are going to still have access to all those signals. And so this is a long-term approach, a long-term way for you guys to get in at the ground floor of an amazing group of people. And this is really something I've put a lot of time dedicating towards. So if you guys want to further your education, you want to make some profits, and you want to copy somebody that knows what they're doing, doing, make sure you guys check out my video course and signals today. Links are going to be provided for you in the description to sign up. Now, with that being said, guys, if you don't want to sign up for any of my VIP stuff, I do have an amazing free study guide that you guys can download today. Links are provided for you in the description as well. This ebook is about 38 pages long, full of a lot of exciting information. It's going to teach you guys the ins and outs of trading and investing. It's a guide that I really wish I would have had when I first got into these markets because it would have helped me so much. The amount of value that I've put inside of that ebook alone that I'm giving you guys for free is enough value to make you millions of dollars if you study it thoroughly and if you understand the guides that I've really laid out for you guys. It's really a guide that I wish I would have had, like I said, because it would have saved me a lot of money and it would have helped make me a lot of money in the process. And so make sure you guys download that. Its links are provided for you in the description. It's totally free. It's not going to cost you anything. And with all that being said, guys, I'll catch you in the next video. As always, peace out.